Hey guys, Teen here, back at it with episode 5 of Learn to Kite. In this episode, we're going to go through kite control and how to fly the kite. Just for reference, we're going to go through how to control the power of the kite in the next episode, and then how to launch the kite in the next episode. I'm not going to teach you how to launch the kite now when you don't actually know how to fly the kite in the first place. So let's dive in and we'll get to those further details in the next 2 videos. For this episode, obviously, there's going to be a lot of beach footage. So let's hop into my computer and let's dive in. So diving straight into it, as mentioned, we're obviously going to go through the launch in the next episode of Learn to Kite. But once your kite is launched and you've moved that kite up to 12 o'clock, we'll now go through all the necessary kite control aspects. So the first thing to note here in terms of the actual bar is your hand positioning on the bar. So ideally you want to keep your hands up against the trim line. The reason for this is that this prevents accidental steering, resulting in the kite turning very aggressively and therefore catching you off guard. So again, always ensure, especially in these early stages, that you always have your hands up against the center trim line when learning to fly the kite. So the first 2 core concepts to understand with regards to kite and bar control is number 1, pulling the bar in and out and how this affects the kite. So we refer to this as sheeting the bar in and out. And by sheeting the bar in and out, number 1, we change the line tension between the bar and the kite. So if you pull the bar in or sheet the bar in, you increase the line tension on the steering lines. And if you sheet the bar out or push the bar out, you decrease the line tension on the steering lines. The second thing to mention there is when sheeting the bar in, you change the angle of attack of the kite in the wind, as shown in this example here, and that controls the power of the kite. So as you can see here, if the wind is coming from this direction and the kite is sitting flat or with a very low angle of attack in the wind, that would obviously give us a lot less power than this position here where we've sheeted in the bar. That's then changed the angle of attack of the kite in the wind and therefore gives us a lot more power. Now, the second thing to note with regards to kite and bar control is that the kite is steered by pulling one side of the bar or the other. It's not steered by turning the bar or spinning the bar. So as you can see here, I spin the bar or turn the bar and it does nothing in terms of changing the kite's position in the wind window. But as you can see here, if I pull the left side of the bar or the red side of the bar, the kite turns to the left. And if I pull the right side of the bar or the gray side of the bar, the kite turns to the right. Now, one key thing to note in these early stages is to be as gentle as possible with the bar input that you give to the kite. So how aggressively you steer or, give those bar commands to the kite, because especially when you don't fully understand the power of the kite, it can catch you off guard. So again, ensure that you're always being as gentle as possible with those bar commands to avoid getting caught off guard or unexpected by the power of the kite once making those bar commands. Then the next thing to note here is, let's say we've steered the kite to the right. To stop the kite moving to the right, we pull to the left to slow the kite down. This will, as you can see here, stop the kite moving to the right and start bringing the kite back towards 12 o'clock in the wind window. And the same goes for the other direction. So if we turn the kite to the left by pulling the red side of the bar and the kite starts moving to the left, in order to slow that kite down, we pull gently on the right side of the bar. That'll slow the kite down and start bringing it up towards 12 o'clock in the wind window again. Now, the next thing to note here is kind of the relationship between how aggressively you turn the bar and sheeting the bar in or out at the same time, and how this affects the movement of the kite. So as you can see in this example here, I steer the kite quite aggressively in terms of bar movement or bar angle. And as you can see, the kite reacts somewhat slowly. And this is due to the fact that because I've sheeted my bar all the way out, the line tension is very low. And therefore, even if I give quite an aggressive bar command, due to the steering lines having low line tension, this slows the reaction of the kite from that bar input. Now, in this example here, I turn the kite quite aggressively in terms of bar movement, but I also pull the bar in or sheet the bar in. What this does is it firstly increases the line tension within the steering lines, therefore making the input that I've given to the bar a lot more aggressive because we've got so much line tension in those steering lines, and this causes the kite to react very quickly, as you can see here. So that's one thing to obviously keep in mind, and this will get easier and easier to understand over time as you spend more and more time flying the kite. Now, the next thing to understand is the trim system on your bar. So how this works is it changes the lengths of the center lines relative to the steering lines. This therefore changes the angle of attack of the kite in the wind, and therefore changes the different power thresholds of the kite. So just to show you how this works, as you can see here, I'm going to trim in. So pull the trim line, hook that in place, and as you can see, I'm now trimmed in. To trim out, you release that trim line and let that slide all the way out, therefore maxing out the length of your center lines. So how this trim system works in terms of line lengths. So as you can see here in this example, when I pull in the bar, I can pull it down to about this level on that center power line before feeling a big boost in power from the kite. Now, once I've trimmed in, I can now pull the bar all the way down to this level here before feeling that same amount of power from the kite. And that is a result of me trimming in or trimming out with the bar's trim system. Now, the next thing to understand in this process that is a key area, especially when learning the power of the kite, is the back stall. So this is something that can happen very often with beginners learning to fly the kite and can lead to unexpected boosts in power that can really catch you off guard. So it's a good idea to understand what is happening in this scenario and practice, learning to back stall your kite and then recover that kite, because that will help you night and day in terms of beginner kite control. So firstly, what is a back stall? If we pull in or sheet in the bar of the kite, as you know from what I've just explained, that'll increase the angle of attack of the kite and therefore give you more power. Now, if you increase the angle of attack of the kite too much, that'll give you increased power up to a certain point, and then the kite will start to stall because that angle of attack is too high. When the kite starts to back stall, you'll see it'll fall back into the wind window, even though you have the bar sheeted all the way in. Now, generally speaking, beginners will continue to hold the bar fully sheeted in to try and increase the power of the kite and get the kite up. But in this scenario, the only way to recover from a back stall is to actually sheet the kite out. What this does is it reduces the angle of attack of the kite, allows the kite to hook back in the wind, and it'll shoot back up to 12 o'clock. So that was it for kite and bar control. Hopefully you found that interesting. It is quite an exciting start to everything. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hopefully that was a help. If you like this, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.